The way that financial advisors draw up a needs analysis varies from advisor to advisor. They all have their own way of working, but each different system used should produce roughly the same answers. Some of the software F&As out there are very complex. They take up a lot of time and produce 30-page reports that even the advisor may struggle to understand. We all know what it means when the client does not understand your analysis. You probably will not hear from him again, and the biggest tragedy is that he leaves uninsured simply because he did not understand your presentation. In designing F&As for SoftFin, we needed to offer different ways of completing F&As. One of the ways would be a scenario where the user could simply and quickly enter only the amounts needed to do a quick needs analysis in a few minutes. In other words, the F&A would ask the user to enter how much money would be available and how much would be required in order to determine any shortfall. We also needed to add features where the user could drill down, as it were, if need be, to elaborate on amounts required and amounts available, etc., by itemizing and adding more details. When doing an F&A for death, looking at policies for example, it is really only necessary to know the total life cover available from the client's policies. Policy details such as inception dates, waiver of premium, and even the premium are not going to affect the F&A. All that matters is the life cover, and that is all SoftFin's F&A for death is interested in. This means that the life cover is all you really have to enter on the policy screen for a quick needs analysis. If the client says he has a total of 400,000 Rand life cover with Acme Life, then that is all SoftFin needs you to enter for death benefit from policies. Things like inception dates and premiums do not affect the death payout. If you want to take the time, you can also enter all the other details associated with all the client's policies, but the life cover is all that's needed by SoftFin to do a simple INA. This sort of thing saves an enormous amount of time, as you will see, and allows a simple F&A to be done in less than 15 minutes. SoftFin's F&As have also been designed with no compulsory fields to slow you down. With many other F&A programs, when you come across one of these fields, you cannot proceed further unless you find and enter certain data required. Of course, if you do take the time to enter more data on the policy screens in SoftFin, then this will increase the amount of information shown on reports such as policy schedules. SoftFin offers simple, single-page F&A reports that your client will understand. SoftFin works on the principle that what is simplest works best. Using SoftFin's simple needs analysis will save the user time and keep things simple. Let's have a look at an example of SoftFin's needs analyses. This is the personal details screen in SoftFin, where we keep all the personal details for our clients. We can save these details, we can retrieve them at any time, we can change them, etc. It caters obviously for the client's names, date of birth, postal address, residential address, how they married, all the contact information you need. Plus down here there's this memo comments field, which will take up to 20 A4 pages of information, and you can cut and paste information from other sources like MS Word or Excel or whatever you like. There's also a tab here for the spouse and dependents, where you can enter all those details, including the birthdays of all the children, etc. We can also ask to browse through the database, and that'll show us a list of all the clients in the database. We only have 2 examples. Let's load the figures for Mr. Bloggs that we have saved. And then let's have a look at the death needs analysis we have saved for Mr. Bloggs. And this is all it is, just a few screens keeping things as simple as possible, yet allowing us to elaborate, expand options, cater for complex issues, etc. SoftFin is very flexible, and you can adapt SoftFin's simple analyses to cater for any scenario. On this personal requirements screen, we determine how much monthly income the widow will require, for how long she will require that monthly income, and how much monthly income she may have available. We can also establish what the client regards as the inflation rate and discuss with the client what can be expected as a rate of return on income invested. When reviewing the analysis, you can easily change any of these values and click on Calculate to recalculate the answers. This Notes field will allow us to enter up to 20 A4 pages of information regarding the analysis, and we can cut and paste information from Word documents, communications, etc. Some clients may say that their widow would need a certain amount escalating at an amount of X% for a certain number of years, in which case you only need to enter the amount here in the white field and SoftFin will use that amount. If we click on the Itemize buttons, we can elaborate on the amounts we enter, like the monthly income amount required for death. If we open the grid for monthly income required, then we can see what we entered. Note these grids offer an unlimited number of lines for data. We've only used 3 lines in this example. The widow says she would need 15,000 Rand a month for the first 5 years, escalating at 6%. SoftFin treats the year of death as year 1. The widow would then need 20,000 Rand a month, escalating at 6% a year for year 6 to 16, and she would need 15,000 Rand a month, escalating for years from 17 to 40. We can use any amounts required and escalation rates decided by the client. The amounts needed here must be entered as today's values, and SoftFin will do all the projections as to what the widow will actually need. For example, the widow said she would need 15,000 Rand a month in year 17. So SoftFin will calculate that at 6% inflation, the widow will actually need 40,392 Rand a month and will use that amount as actually required in year 17. The 15,000 Rand shown here is SoftFin's picked up that at the actual date of death, the widow said she would need 15,000 Rand a month. Once again, we could enter a single amount available monthly at death without itemizing, and SoftFin would use that amount escalating at the inflation rate we enter here, but let's itemize to elaborate entering these amounts. If we open the grid showing monthly income available, we can see that the widow says she will carry on working and earning a salary which has a small annual increase, but the widow has always intended giving up work in 8 years' time. So we can see the widow would work from year 1 to year 8. She would also receive a small pension from her husband's fund, but in this case the amount does not increase annually. You can enter the widow's monthly income from investments or annuities here as well. Let's have a look at the death capital screen. On the screen we can enter any capital amounts that would be available at death, as well as capital amounts becoming available in years after the year of death. Once again, we can enter only the total amounts in these white fields if that is all is required. In a case like that, SoftFin will make these amounts available right away in the year of death. You will notice that the fields with a red cross next to the itemizing buttons indicate that there is nothing itemized in the grid. We never bothered itemizing the value of the husband's car. We simply entered the value of 300,000 Rand right here in the white field. Widows all have different ideas of what they would do if something like this happened. If the widow says she would sell the family house, then obviously you need to enter the value here. On the next screen, under Death Liabilities, we can enter any outstanding bond we need to settle. Let's open the itemized grid for real estate sale. Here we see the couple have a plot of land that the widow would sell immediately, so we entered the value of 500,000 Rand being available as capital in year 1. Before we look at policies and investments, let's look at the last field here for other capital. We can see the green tick shows that we have data entered in the grid but no value showing in the year of death. Only capital amounts available at death will be included in the widow's capital to be invested at the time of death. Let's open this grid. The grid shows us that the widow has an investment policy of her own set to mature in 6 years' time, so it will not form part of the capital available at death. SoftFin will add this capital amount to the widow's investment capital in 6 years' time. If we click on the Itemize button for policies and investments, we have designed a special screen that caters for all policies, etc. This screen we are looking at here is the screen where we enter the benefits that a particular policy offers. For example, if the client says he has life assurance of 400,000 Rand, then all we really need to do here is enter 400,000 Rand for a death benefit, exit the screen and move on. It is that quick doing a quick needs analysis for death. However, if we wish to take the time, we can enter the rest of the policy data. Have a look at the Type Details tab on this policy screen. Here we enter all the info regarding the type of policy, underwriter, premiums, information, etc. We can enter up to 20 A4 pages of information on each policy. Let's go back to the policy benefits screen. We can enter surrender values and loans against. If this is one of those policies with a monthly payout, then we can enter that information as well, and it will all be taken into account in the FNA. We can enter the beneficiary, any sessions, cash values, etc. If this policy has a disability benefit or dread disease benefit, then we can enter all that here on the same screen. The same thing applies if this policy has a retirement benefit. If a particular policy has a certain benefit, then enter the amount of that benefit. If you add a policy that only has disability cover and no other benefits, then you only enter the disability benefit and leave other benefit fields blank. This screen caters for all policy types. You can add as many policies as you like. There is no limit. We can edit policies, scroll forwards and backwards between policies, etc., and we can print. When we click on the print button, you can see we offer the chance to send this report either directly to the printer, or we can view and export to a disk file, look at it on the screen, and then export it to any other software like MS Word, etc. Here we've asked to have a look at the policy and investment schedule. And this is what our policy investment schedule would look like. Now let's close the policy screen and move on. Now we can see that the widow has 1.25 million to invest and when her husband passes away. Now let's have a look at the death liabilities window. Here we can list amounts needed to settle any bonds and outstanding debts. As far as the estate duty and executor's fees go, we can superimpose the estate duty estimator window over the screen and do a quick estimate of what these costs would come to, if anything. For other expenses, we can see something itemized in there, but no value added to death liabilities. For years now, the widow and her girlfriends have been planning a shopping trip to Paris 7 years from now. Using the red arrow inflation projections feature, She has worked out that she would need 75,000 Rand today, which means she would need 120,434 Rand in 7 years' time, and the money in her investment account must cover that. And that's it, the FNA all done. The last tab on this death FNA page is the net worth analysis. This screen shows us the monthly income available and monthly income required at death, as well as any initial monthly shortfall or excess at death. We can also see the capital available to be invested to provide monthly income required for the period of 40 years we requested. SoftFin has worked out that an additional amount of life cover available at death would be needed to boost the capital to a level where the income requested would be provided for the full term of 40 years. Let's have a look at the amortization button here. If we click on this button, here we can see that in the first year we have more than enough income by way of interest earned from the capital plus the widow's salary. The excess unused is added to the capital in year 2 to earn more interest. In addition, the widow's salary increases in year 2 while our income required also increases. Remember, the widow stops work in year 8, so her salary stops, and leaves her with only her husband's steady pension and the interest from invested capital. Year 6 sees the amount from the widow's maturing investment added to capital, and in year 7 sees the money for the trip to Paris coming out of the capital. Let's scroll down to the end. We can see that income will be provided for up to year 24, but not for year 25. The graph clearly shows the wife's investment maturity amount increasing the purple capital available in year 6. The red blocks show the steps during the period where different amounts of income are required. Reports can be printed straight to the printer or exported to a different program such as Excel or Word, where the report can be customized in any way and even emailed. The report is only a single page, but you can ask for other reports to be included with that single page report. Here we've asked to include the amortization. This report is only a single page showing the income required and income available monthly at death. Scrolling down further, the report also shows the capital available at the time of death and the liabilities at the time of death, plus how long the capital would provide income for and how much additional cover is required. All the amounts shown in the amortization table can be checked with an ordinary pocket calculator. The single-page report can be supplemented with a printed graph and also a list showing the following details. The needs analysis icons in SoftFin are obtainable from clicking on these icons: death needs analysis, disability, retirement planning. Let's have a look at the disability and the retirement planning. They're very similar to the death needs analysis. The layout is almost identical. This is the disability needs analysis. We haven't actually done one for Mr. Bloggs, but this is what the needs analysis screens look like. You can see it's virtually identical to the one for life cover. Income needed, income available, that sort of thing. Here's your disability capital. You can see here that there's something showing for policies and investments. If we have a look here, we'll see that this policy does have a disability benefit of 100,000. So that's where that comes from. Here's your disability liabilities at the date of death. Exactly the same fields, except there's no estate duty and executor's fees. We do have conversion costs in its place, converting the car to be driven by a paraplegic, or converting steps in entering your home to a ramp, etc. And your net worth analysis, exactly the same sort of thing. Looking at the retirement needs analysis, you can see here personal requirements, pretty much the same sort of thing as the death needs analysis. Retirement capital, pretty much the same. If we have a look at policies, there's one difference here. If we have a look at the policies, you'll see if we have a policy, and let's scroll forward to find the policy with the retirement benefit. There you go. This is an RA, and there's a retirement benefit of R1,000,000, and this is coming due at age 55. We can see that there. Here, we can escalate this forward at a percentage. We've put in 8%, so that if we get out of this and go back to personal requirements, if we change the age at retirement from 55 to, say, age 60, and then click on calculate, if we open that policy screen again, we'll see here what's happened is it said that if that policy is going to mature for R1,000,000 at age 55, then escalating forward at 8%, when you retire at the new retirement age, it's going to pay out 1.4 million, and that amount now will be used in the analysis. That's the only difference. Here are your same retirement expenses. That's about it. Your net worth analysis, etc. The net worth analysis page is the same as the other needs analyses. We have amortizations, we have graph, we can print reports, etc. You can see here in this case that SoftFin has found that the client needs another 890,000 Rand additional cover when he retires. So if we click on the Show Premium button, then this window opens. It's picked up that 890,000 is the maturity value required. It's picked up that it's 15 years to go to retirement, and it just needs us to enter growth rate and investment escalation. So I've entered 10% growth rate, 10% escalation, and it shows us that a ballpark premium would be 1,058 Rand a month, invested for 15 years to produce the 890,000 Rand required. The SoftFin program is extremely user-friendly, and in spite of that, we have full on-screen help. If we click on this icon here, this will open a PDF document on the screen which explains what to enter in each and every field. And plus, we have these on-screen pictures of the actual screens showing you exactly what to enter where.